Hello, and welcome to the newest episode of Show Me Your Diamond. My diamond on this episode is Andrew Eggelton. He is a TV presenter, speaker's mentor, actor, and so much more. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Julia. I like this so much more. It's a nice addition.
It's so difficult for me to introduce people in few words because as diamonds, we're multifaceted, and you are particularly multifaceted. You have an incredible story, and I would love my audience to get to know you. So please tell us your long story short.
But long story short, you said multifaceted. I like the word layered. Layered.
Great.
Long story short, I don't know why I got into the arts. I think around about 20, I was watching TV and I saw someone acting and I thought that I could do that. I began there and I wasn't very good. It took me a long time to understand that art is a craft. There's layers to understanding art, and when you begin to appreciate that, it makes you want to go deeper. And I have one of those that curiosity or that personality that wants to master the things that I do. So although acting was a vehicle that kept coming to me, I kept getting doors open. Things like I used to work with Ryan Gosling around about 23, 24. And he was fresh out of the Mickey Mouse Club with Justin Timberlake and Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears. And he was still young, like 19 years of age, and very, very good at acting. What struck me and still does was his maturity at that age. Very mature, and ability to converse with the other adults, the directors, the producers, the other people on the set. But my passion was always presenting. I wanted to be a TV presenter. I wanted to be on TV, but I wanted to be me, not pretending to be somebody else. Through all of that, and through the success of TV and the acting, the TV presenting, that ended up being the speaking, I could tell that the essence of what I wanted to understand was what just be you meant. What does just be you mean? Because when you're on set or if you're presenting, a director might say to you, Andrew, just be you. That's their direction, right? And I don't know what that means, but I didn't know what that meant. And essentially, they didn't know what it meant either, because they weren't asking me to just be me. They were asking for a very specific part of me that day that I might not have been feeling, which I probably wasn't feeling, because that's why they were asking me to go back there. So I went away and took some time, and I went, well, if I understand what just be you really means, and then I can make it tangible and teach people that, the art of just being you, that then became my obsession. And then I learned over a period. I ran away to Bali and lived in Bali for a few years, and started to break down what just be you meant, work it out, and then how can I pass that on to people and speed their process up so they didn't have to do the same process as me. And there's so much more, but that's the long story short.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, I know that the subject of authenticity is very close to your heart. It's probably one of the main things you do and you teach. And only if you are authentic, you could help people access that inner feeling of who they are. Because we both know we, or most people, are wearing different masks in different situations. So all those layers, of course, as you mentioned, is accessing part of who you are, because we're so complex. We're so many people in one. We wear so many hats. It's beautiful. Actually, before our podcast, I was reading your LinkedIn post on TEDx talk is just the beginning, it's not the end.
Yeah.
And it struck me, it made me think, because as I shared with you, I'm preparing for my first ever TEDx talk. I'm petrified, but it's a dream of mine. I feel like I have so many messages to share with the world, and through my experience, my story, I want to share them. And really, as you said, people do the TEDx, put it on their LinkedIn or resume, and that's it. But you're
Yeah.
saying if you do that right, this is really the start of you delivering the message to bigger audiences, of you having many doors open. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Look, people have TED Talks or TEDx, or maybe delivering a keynote with their favorite speaker, maybe um, whoever that may be is the goal. That's the end game. They don't see past that. TEDx, as an example, is just the beginning. You really want to do TEDx because you want those multiple views on the back end. You want more opportunities. You want people to look at your YouTube video of your TEDx and go, I need to work with that person. That person needs to be on my stage. There's nothing worse than doing your TEDx and then you go, phew, I did it. And I remembered everything I want to say. But then people go to your YouTube and go, well, that's not quite the calling card that I really wanted to see, or it's not the quality. So, and this is where most people go wrong, is that they start learning the craft when they get the job. So they're like, all right, Andrew, I've got a TEDx in 3 weeks. I need you to mentor me. And I'm going, well, okay, I'll do the best I can, but it's kind of too late. You've tools are layered on layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. And craft or the tools, let's say I give you a tool and the tool might be learning how to create a feeling word. A feeling word is I choose how this word sounds to you. So the word feel is a good example, right? Mountain, peak, bottom. So these are feeling words and they evoke more of a feeling than just a transactional me speaking them. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
For you to do that naturally or organically on the day, you would have to have been practicing that for 2 or 3 months until those words just automatically happen for you. Otherwise, you're going out and doing your TED talk or your keynote, and this is your big day to swing the bat and hit the ball out of the park. And you've got all these things going on in your head. You've got, okay, Andrew said pauses and textures and feeling words and change of pace, gear shifts. And I've got everything I wanted to remember to say and get in a sequential order. So there's a lot going on. Whereas if you do that in advance, there's a sense of confidence when you walk out on stage. You go, do you know what? I've got this. I've got this. I'm not just going to be good. I wonder how great I'm going to be today. I'm going to nail this. That remembering what I want to say is the least of my worries.
Mm. Beautiful and deep. So for all of the people who are listening to us or watching our podcast, what would be the right timing to look for a coach or a mentor to prepare for keynote or TEDx?
When you have the idea that that's what you want to do.
Okay. Okay. So it's probably even better not to have the pressure of the deadline, but just nailing the message and the story, and then the opportunity will arrive. So what I feel is I have only 1 month to mine. The first one, let it be a rehearsal, but for my next one, I would love to be mentored by you. I would love to help me find that authentic me. Usually people say I'm quite authentic and I'm quite bold. I could be funny. Some people could love me or hate me, and that's okay. But it would be good for you having so much experience in acting, presenting, mentoring to dig deeper. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So today, Andrew is with us from Australia, right? I'm
Yeah,
in
I
London,
look
it's morning, and for Andrew, he just been to the gym and it's early evening for him. So, how does a typical day of Andrew look like? You have so many hats. I don't know. How do you balance everything that you do? And there's so much more.
so much more. So I've been trying to narrow it down. In 2025, I've been narrowing it down. Have you ever read the book 10x is easier than 2x?
No, but I would love to
It's
read.
a fantastic book. So I'm focusing on that 20% instead of the 80%. The,
Mm.
the the higher qualifying stuff, the bigger vision things. So a typical day would be I always do warm up my voice, and I will practice the tools that I've been practicing for years. Everything that I practice, I've designed myself. I haven't learned it off somebody else. I've wanted to push the edges of what speaking looks like and feels like. So I look to practice those tools and look for more tools. So I think about what is the experience that I want to have with my audience, and then I build building blocks to create that. So I want to be deeply connected, and for some reason, the audience don't know why they're so engaged. They just are. And learn how when the energy shifts in a room, you can pull people back and uh, pull people off their seat and put them back into their seat. And that just takes practice and the tools. Then I get stuck into my bigger. I go back and get in touch with my big vision. So I'll sit on that for 15 minutes to half an hour and think about what are the things that I'm doing today that are going to make that happen. Okay, so that gets that 20% instead of the 80% stuff done. And then I go into the nitty gritty. What are my assistants going to do today? What am I going to work on today? I'll do my calls, meetings, gym. And then I end up doing very late calls because I have a lot of clients in Europe. So
Mm.
most of my calls start around 6 p.m., 7 p.m.
Wow. Very interesting. I mean, you were saying, I don't know why my audience is connected and attracted. And I can tell you one of the reasons I see why. I mean, you're charismatic, you are gorgeous looking, and your voice is so deep and unusual. So it's already even just that noticing. And I would love to obviously now see more of your talks, and I know that you're working on something very special, but let's keep it for a little bit later. I hope people are staying with us first to learn a little bit more about you and get a little bit of your wisdom, and then we'll share about the exciting things and visions you're working on. But can you tell me what is success to you?
Oh, good question. What is success? I've been trying to work this out the last 48 hours. It's an ironic question that you asked that now. Like, am I running from? I think this was inspired by watching Morella's TED Talk.
The
And I
running. When you said running, because I was
and
there live listening to
yes,
Mirella in Paris. I was
yeah,
listening live.
I was trying to work out what one am I, but I feel like it's the same and it hasn't changed. But sometimes I feel like I'm running from the things that I don't want to be, and sometimes I feel like I'm running towards the things that I want, but they're never there. But I think in the middle, which is where I sit most of the time, is that I know that there's something inside me and it needs to come out. And it's like I need to unravel that. It's an idea or a concept or a vision, and I have to keep chipping away at it. Um, do you know what I mean? I don't know if it'll be finished, but I want to leave. I would like to change this industry and have an impact on it so it moves it forward. I feel like speaking in general hasn't moved much in the last 30, 40 years. It's very stock standard, technical, and it hasn't shifted. And there's not many speakers that I really aspire to. And I feel like as most speakers get on stage and perform, they don't truly understand what authenticity means. And I know that because of the thousands of people I've worked with. I still haven't met someone who got it immediately, which means they didn't know it in the first place. I've had to refine, right? So how do you get a generation of speakers that their main intention is to connect? So authenticity creates the connection. That's where it comes from. And then the craft is where you build the engagement. So I'm connected to you. And then the craft is, now I've got you connected. Where do I want to take you? How do I want to move you? How do I want you to feel? It's like the maestro. It's like the conductor or the maestro with an orchestra. And it's a beautiful feeling when you have enough craft to be able to, I call it the invisible dance. Now that when you're dancing, you've got the connection. That's the first part, right, with your partner, and then it's the invisible dance, the move. It's someone's leading and the other person's following. It's the invisible dance when you're on stage.
So, summarizing success.
So summarizing success is, what was the essence of what I just said? There's something inside, and it's the success is seeing it come to fruition, seeing it being built.
Okay, and I loved what you said. Is basically, and you're the first one to actually say that success, I mean, in such a beautiful way and elaborate way. And I love extracting now the diamond from that big chunk, beautiful, rough, manly explanation. But did I understand correctly? Success to you is also something that it's not a moment, it's not a short period, but it's kind of lifelong process of delivering the message you're born with.
Yeah, yeah. It's the lifelong journey of extracting this thing, this piece of art or this abstract thing that I know is inside, and building it on the outside, making it come to fruition.
Mm. And also, I feel you are and will be the disruptor in this industry because we both know I have studied public speaking with a few people. And as you said, it's just a formula, the same. And somehow I never connected. It wasn't me. So I can't wait to see what you will do out of it. Just during the weekend, I attended a three days social media summit. And it was very interesting to hear that actually what we do and the art of public speaking, the art of speaking, the art of storytelling, it's actually one of the top professions at the moment. Because previously it was something little, but now people understood how important it is to share a story, tell a story, and connect to people. Because there's too much noise, too many businesses, too many pitches. So only the ones who are amazing at it and who are authentic will be the best ones. And now you're mentoring people in the art of presenting, in the art of speaking. So, can we give a little glimpse of that exciting project you're working on? You tell me, it might still be too early, but if there's something you would like to share, go on.
That's okay. By the time you've edited this or you've packaged this up and put it out, it's probably out. It'll be launched next week.
Yes.
It starts with what you said then, and to summarize something you just said was, you feel there's another way. You are
Mm.
technical. This is not for me, I think you just said. So
Yeah.
if you think there's another way, there is.
Tell
There
me.
absolutely is. And this is, it's very cutting edge. I use equine assisted therapy, or for those who don't understand what that is, it's horses in layman's terms. I use horses to teach authenticity, and horses reflect back to you exactly how you've been. Right. So day one is with the horses. You get into what is normally a very natural herd, meaning they're not ridden. They're often orphan horses, or horses that have been picked up and maybe going to be culled. So they're not ridden. Their personalities are intact, and the horses will teach you a level of authenticity that I just can't. And I'm really good at teaching it, but the trouble is, I'm a human, and there's a level of, the horse doesn't care about your feelings. I do, and so I might package something up instead of just going straight for the jugular, and soften the blow, whereas the horse just shows you, and you have to figure it out over that period, over the day, of what it really means to be authentic, which is your inside world and your outside world are congruent. There has to be a congruency, and I'll show you tell you what that means. When I first started working with the horses, and I teach authenticity, right? Inside, I was really nervous. Inside, I was nervous. I mean, they're big, beautiful animals. They're a little bit, I thought they're a little bit unpredictable, which they are. And so I was quite intimidated and nervous on the inside, but on the outside, I was going, just relax, just breathe, be really calm around them. And then I walked into the arena, and I'd go over to the horses, and the horses would just walk away. And then I'd go over to them, and then they'd walk away, and go over to them, and they'd walk away. And I'm going, but why? I'm not a threat. I'm calm. I'm breathing. I'm doing my ohms. And the horses didn't want to borrow me. And when I gave up, and I walked over and sat on a water trough, that was when I felt something nibbling on the back of my t-shirt. It was a horse. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Then I had 2 or 3 around me. For anyone who understands horses, which I'm sure there will be people who are watching this that do, I had given up, but that was how I was really feeling. My outside world, I wasn't putting on a show or indicating, or there was no performance of I'm really calm. It was like, no, I've actually just given up. Horses don't even like me. So I figured out really quickly that it didn't matter what state that I was in, as long as my inside and outside world were congruent, that the horses would accept me. And depending on how I was feeling throughout the day, a different horse would come and interact or play. And by the end of the day, my eyes were just like popping. I was so excited. It was like one of the best days of my life. It was really quite phenomenal. And it was like the spark of, oh my God, I need to use this for teaching speakers. But by the end of the day, when I was really wired and quite confident, and probably being a little bit, what's the word? I want to use the word obnoxious, but I was probably just quite confident and a little bit aggressive about it. The leader of the herd, the biggest horse came out, and we ended up having this play fight. Like he was walking over top of me and trying to push me over and standing on my foot, and I was pushing him over and dropping my shoulder into him and being really physical. And I realized that I was having this wrestling with a horse and had this beautiful connection. I was like, oh my God, it's the authenticity that creates a connection. I know this. The other part of it is then once we learn how to be authentic, and we have a day with me learning how to really speak in the delivery and the craft, day 3 is we bring in the cellist. And the cellist it takes our message to a whole nother level. So where our voice ends, the cello picks it up and keeps going. So it amplifies our message, it amplifies our voice, and you learn during the day whether to speak on the notes, or whether you want to speak in the spaces. It changes the beat of your delivery. So you get out of your head, and instead of delivering this short keynote that in a way that you imagined you would, it when you get into your heart, which the cello forces you to, you end up speaking with it's like a music track. It has a flow to it, it has a different beat to it, and it's magical. It's magical. Again, when you feel that, you won't ever approach speaking in the same way again because you've felt something different. You realize that you don't have to speak in this typical TEDx or keynote fashion, that you realize that how you want to deliver it is the most important part. What's the experience you want to give your audience? What's the experience you want to have? How do you want to deliver this yourself? It's a different magic.
Mm.
I got quite excited. I got a little bit excited there.
Yeah, I could tell. And I could tell. And this is what people need to feel. It's not about selling or pitching. Look at you. You haven't said anything about that, but I feel your passion. I feel your strong belief in the fact that this is the way. And I
Mm.
wish my son could listen to this podcast because he is a cellist. He plays the cello, but it's not his real desire. It's, his parents are telling him cello is good because it develops your brain in certain way, and cello is good for your university applications, and cello is good in front of the girls later on. But I think he just wants to stop it. And you're saying that the cello is so amazing. It's the one instrument that is the closest to the human voice or
Yes.
emotion. What did you say last time we had the call, the private call? You said something like that, and it deeply
Yeah. Out of all the instruments, it can imitate the closest to the human voice.
is the
So
challenge.
yeah, so the way those three things will change the way that you approach your speaking forever. Like it's a they're a defining moment that you will not go back to your old way. You know, when you've seen something and you can't unsee it, you
Yeah.
felt something, you can't unfeel it, and you go, I can never go back to that old way. I just can't. Yeah.
It's amazing because I was one of the lucky ones to preview how this special program looks, and it's still to be polished a little bit. But did you notice when you sent it to me for my eyes only, I already signed for the waiting list for this event in the UK? I want to do that. I do feel I have a message or many messages inside, and I want to be the voice for the women who are not able to speak up or afraid to speak up. So I want to be brave, and I want to do that because I really want to be authentic. So, I mean, this sounds so amazing, so exciting. I can't wait. And Andrew, when I asked you what success is for you, you did not say any of the awards you have received. When I was learning a little bit about you, I obviously love to do my research, and I was seeing like TV presenter of the year, and the next year, and the next year, an actor, and there was something like sexiest man alive ever of the year, and I'm like, wow, goosebumps. So can you
Mm.
share a little bit of your highs, but also the lows, because people need to know we don't want to be like the polished Instagram where everyone's pretty, rich, and happy. Can you give us a glimpse of what it took also to get to those highs?
I think it's the peaks and troughs, isn't it? There's the humbling parts, and Julia, there are so many times when I've sat on my bed and I felt like I've made it. I will never have to worry about money again. I'll never have to worry about where the next job's coming from. I've made it. And for 4 or 5 years later, to be sitting on the bed going, what the fuck happened? Where did it all go? It's for me, those troughs were during the success. I started to not like what I was becoming. It wasn't true to what I felt, what was inside of me. So although it might have been working on a TV series full time, producing, working with my favorite sports stars and celebrities in the weekend on stage, there was something missing. Like that can fill it, and you'll take the money and you'll take the experiences, right? Because they're amazing. But there's something inside that's like, yeah, but this isn't you. This isn't your legacy. This is just you. This is the legacy of Shortland Street or this drama or this TV show. This isn't yours, and it's taking up all your time. So that the troughs are where you have to go away, for me, and reinvent or rethink things or reevaluate and go, hold on, okay, well, what is it? And give myself some space, because if you don't give yourself the space, it's very hard to come up with the ideas. And then I think the other part is when you do have the success is actually being able to handle it.
Mm.
So the troughs are easy because you're just miserable, and it's remaining in the game. And I think that's where a lot of people come unstuck, is they just don't remain in the game. They're like, oh, this is too hard. There's the enthusiasm at the beginning. This is what most speakers are like, right? This is artistry 101. Really excited. I'm going to be a speaker or an actor or a TV presenter. And there's something called beginner's luck.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I feel at the beginning there's this natural naivety or enthusiasm that gets you on stages or on screen. But then you start to get found out for lack of talent. Right. So I think of that, the first peaks that I had, I had the ambition, but my talent didn't match. I wasn't able to I wasn't able to deliver at the level that was required. And I'd go back to the drawing board and go, well, what does world class look like? What skills am I missing that I need to find and acquire, and who's teaching them? And then go get that person. All right. And then at the peaks, when that starts to happen, is how do you handle that? For me, it was, how do I handle the success? Does that answer your question?
Uh, yeah, I got it that yes, you had highs, but you also had lows. And what got you out of the lows? Because from what I understand, you had the huge peaks, but then when you ask yourself, what went wrong? Where did it all go? How did you get yourself out of the down?
Can I give you a defining moment? And I'll
Yes.
tell you exactly what I did. Uh, it was probably 11 years ago. And it was on the back end of some really good success. And I had a bad neck injury in Bali. And I went back to Christchurch, New Zealand, and my dad, for Christmas, it took me about 3 months before I could get on a plane because I couldn't sit still because of my neck. And I was in a bad place, probably the deepest, darkest hole I had been in. And all of a sudden there's a point where you can't understand how the person that you are at that moment can have the things that you want. They seem so far away, and your character is so down, your energy, your character, it seems impossible that you can get that stuff again. And I remember just a moment where I just had enough of myself. And it was just like, I'm not doing another day like this. And I sat down at my dad's desk downstairs. Here I was, I don't know what age it would have been. It would have been in my 40s though. In my 40s, living back at home, and I'm like, oh my God, what's happened? And I remember writing down what I wanted, and then I would screw that piece of paper up and I was like, no, that's what I think I want. What do I want? Without any limitations, without thinking that this person can have it. Just imagine that I'm freaking amazing right now. What could I have? And I started to really write down the things, what my house really looked like, my pets, what kind of animals I had on my land, how did my day feel? That was really important. The color of my coffee mug, the wood of my bench, my car, and how much I was working and how work felt, and then what work was, and how much I was making with that work. So, and once I was looking at that amount, I was going, that's a lot of money for a short amount of time. So I'm getting that many people are coming to this and paying that. I'm like, okay, so that means you must be really good at what you do. So there's like an epiphany, there's like a moment, right? You can have that, but to have that, you're going to need to be really, really good. Not just good and maybe not even great, but world class, the best at what you do. You owning the space, and there's no one else that can do it. So, okay, well, I can do that. That's just perseverance and chipping away and finding the people that can teach me and teaching myself. And then the next part was probably the hardest, which was this current Andrew can't have that. This current Andrew, I'm going to have to let a lot of stuff go, and I'm going to have to create a new me in so many different aspects. The curiosity can stay there, the essence of who I am can stay there, but my habits, my behaviors, the way I speak, my voice. So I wrote down a list of, and I just called it the man that I need to be to have that. And then I put that on my phone and my like a diary note, and the alarm came up every 3 days, 3 times a day, and I would stop and I'd read it, and then slowly I started to eliminate things because I'm like, oh man, I've become that. I am that now. I am that now. And as I started to delete some of those things, my life was changing. So it was this really beautiful evidence of, as I'm becoming him, that old life is disappearing and this new life is happening. And I moved to Melbourne and I built an international speaking business so freaking fast, so fast it spun my head. It was just a really beautiful trajectory. So that's if I know I'm not the only person to have invented this. There's books on this. I just hadn't read those books until I think Atomic Habits is even about that, and 10x is easier than 2x is about that. But I hadn't read those. It was just this organic little moment and a defining moment.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that story. Because so many of us are struggling at different point in our lives. So my hope for this podcast and for my podcast Show Me Your Diamond is for people to listen to and learn from the wisdom of the amazing diamonds I have collected, because I find myself very fortunate to know people like you who have amazing stories and have so much to teach through personal experience, not only what you read about. So what's happiness for you then?
You ask all the tough questions.
I know. And you know what, first when I had to decide what do I want to ask my guests, because I want to have, I mean, they're not scripted, so the conversation lead us where it's supposed to lead, and I love that there's spontaneity. But there are three questions that I always love to ask, and I think they're simple. They might seem cliche, but they're not. They're so deep. They're difficult to answer, and they're unique to each person, each diamond I invite. So, what's happiness to you after all of your ups and downs and straights?
Happiness for me is doing what I love, is when I get to do that, not think about it, but do it and bring those things to life. That makes me happy. Um, I'm one of those people that has to remind myself to be happy because I get focused on creating that I have to remind myself that if you're only happy when you're only doing what you love, well, what about all the other stuff that's in between? So I have to remind myself of that. But happiness for me could be smoking a cigar, it could be having a really good wine, it can be I love free diving, that always makes me happy. Drinking rosé in Greece, free diving, eating seafood, that makes me happy. You know,
Hmm.
is a happiness is just there's a feeling that brings happiness. You I don't think you get happy first or choose to be happy. It's like doing the things that really bring you joy, that make you happy. And if you're doing those on a consistent basis, yeah.
Hmm. So it's also building a habit of being happy, reminding yourself to be happy. That's
Yeah.
powerful. And you know, I went to Hawaii a few years ago and I made myself a tattoo. No, obviously, the tattoo specialist made it, but it says aloha. And it's made for me to read it, just to remind myself that I want to be in aloha state of mind. And
I,
aloha, like happiness, could mean anything to anyone, but to me, aloha means be light. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun. Remember you can do it. Aloha to me is that one word that is me, is fun, is light. And
yeah,
yes, we do need reminding. Another
yeah.
thing it really resonated with me, what you said is you writing down things. So do you have a vision board or is it usually for you write down? Do you have notebooks where you keep them or you write and then throw away? Could you share a little bit about the practical aspect of manifesting?
For me, and you asked me earlier, what do I do? Uh, what does a day look like? That first part, I said, after I warm up my voice and do my practices, then I'll sit down and I've tried to remove the laptop from my business and life. So I'm trying to get away from phone and laptop. So I prefer to use like this. Way, way better. Otherwise, I get trapped in these things. So I will spend 15, 30 minutes each morning focusing back in on what that big vision is. What does that game look like? The moments, get in touch with, like I'll visualize it. Let's say, for example, you come along to that 3-day event, right? Which is the edge of presence. It's imagining, I'll be imagining other people's faces, like the joy that you have when you're amongst those horses, the joy that you have when you speak with the cellist, and the magic that's in that room when people are feeling, experiencing something beyond what they've felt and experienced before. So when I tap into those things and I stand back as like an observer, really, and I let my imagination go, I'll write things down. For me, that's manifesting. For me, that's what it is. And then on the back of that, it's like, okay, well, what do I do right now? What's the next right thing to do to make that happen? Hmm.
Mm, very nice. And that list that you wrote about who you wanted to become, I also love that and resonated with me because you know what I have done a few years ago? I wrote my own code of conduct. Who
Oh,
do I want to be? So it
explain.
So, code of conduct, how do I want to be? So, I have in my phone, I use Trello. I really love that thing because you could move, as you said, you could move, delete, or you could move to the next column where I have completed. And when I move, it gives me fireworks. So I get endorphins from that. I'm one of those to-do lists. I need to check it. I need to move it. I need to feel that I'm achieving. I'm a huge achiever, and I'm working on that because sometimes it could get mechanical. Next, 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 next. Forgetting to celebrate, forgetting to enjoy, forgetting life because there's always the next level. So
I
my
think that's
kind
where you
of
can lose happiness, Julia. You can forget happiness sometimes
yeah,
when you're always trying to achieve.
yeah,
You're like, hold on, what about the little moments? What about the cigar? What about
yeah.
that?
And for me, now that you're talking about cigar, I am looking. I shared with you. Life is what happens outside of our plans. Yesterday, I had to deliver a beautiful talk on mm, women sailing through menopause with ease and joy. One of the many things I do. And imagine, I had beautiful presentation slides. I get to the place, to the business hub. I open the computer and I see that I spilled water on it and it's dead. No slides. And I was like, okay. So I had my tiny phone just to remind me what I wanted to share with my audience. But I did not let this upset me. This morning I was hoping my laptop would be resurrected because I was just hoping in miracle that it's going to dry out and I'm going to, because I'm recording a podcast with Andrew. I want him on big screen. I want to see and look in his eyes. Guess what? Computer is completely dead. I'm recording on my phone, but I won't let those tiny details ruin my experience of having this time with you and extracting your wisdom and your authenticity and sharing it with the world. And you were mentioning cigar and something that makes you happy and rosé, and I could relate to the rosé, not the cigar bit. But now I have in front of me a beautiful camellia, pink camellia. It's huge and it's like it takes almost the whole window. And I look at it and I talk to you. And there's another yellow flowers, and there was a little bird that came. And I was looking at the bird and the flowers. There's sunshine. You know how rare this is in England? Sunshine and blue sky. And I was like, this is a moment of happiness. I do what I love. I love interviewing people because this is creating this connection with people who I know very little, sometimes not at all, but I feel like I know you. And this is one of the things I love. So, my code of conduct for me, if I remember, because I'm recording on my phone, I cannot read it, but basically, my code of conduct is be fun, be light, have fun, serve, be genuine, help, do, but also pose, celebrate. So I have to remind myself as well. And obviously, it's very, very important to celebrate even the little successes because success is different things to different people. But celebrating every little thing that feels success to us is paramount. And now we get to my crown question. Andrew, show me your diamond.
My diamond, Julia, is my creative energy. Hmm.
Mm.
You said that would come naturally, and there you go. That was, yeah, that came out on the back of what we just spoken about.
Oh, you nailed it. If you had to sum up yourself in 2 words, that probably would be it: creative energy. And through a beautiful body, voice, but mostly heart. So I am very grateful for your time and being here with us today. I loved your wisdom. I love how real and down to earth you are sharing. And I can't wait to see your big vision coming true. And if I could be a tiny part in it, I'll be honored. Thank you for being here with us today, Andrew.
Thank you, Julia. Much appreciated.
Mhm. All the best and good luck in everything you do. And I hope to have you back at another episode sometimes. And maybe after my own experience with the horses, with the cello, and with Andrew. Thank you.